Hello, everybody. Welcome to a special chat, actually, a one-off because of the shooting in Las Vegas, and we will be speculating out our ass of what went on. I know I have my theories, and I know these guys have their theories. What the fuck, SoCal, Pop's Quest. I don't know if I think I sent Rick a link too. Anyway, if I did, it's in your inbox, or if I didn't, jump into the side chat and I'll let you join him. Crazy shit going on in America. I hate to put my tinfoil hat on. I'm not even sure that guy was a shooter. I got a feeling there were two shooters. I don't know. But we're going to talk about this. No matter what, it was unbelievable tragedy happened in America. So with that, I got Coda Boy and Blue here, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So Blue, would you like to say anything?
Well, right off the bat, you know, thoughts, prayers, everything are with everybody involved in what happened, regardless on what comes out, you know, after the full investigation's over. You know, a lot of people were killed, a lot of people were injured, and there's a lot of other people that were there. They're never, ever going to forget this day, and it's going to haunt them for the rest of their lives. So, you know, definitely thoughts and prayers to everybody out in Las Vegas and, you know, the surrounding areas.
Yeah, absolutely. Just tragic. Seriously. Coda Boy, would you like to do any opening statements?
Yeah, I want to say ditto to what Blue just said. I was listening to a report. One of the girls or ladies was sitting there and said the lady who was standing next to her was hit in the head. And that has got to be probably, and God bless the people, man. Ultimately, this is a tearjerker, really. Listening to stories of people, this one guy died. They found him laying beside a police car half-mile away. And evidently he made it that far, lost enough blood, and that was it. This is tragedy for the country, and it's amazing to me how the politics have already. People are right on them. You know, it's almost predictable. The who's going to say what, when, where, and how. That's not. I don't want to take away from the family members who lost somebody out there, because that's ridiculous. I think it counts up to 59, but. We got a bunch of different thoughts. I think what's going to come up. I've got my ideas. When I was on the road this morning, and I heard about it, and it was just a tearjerker. And I was actually trying to listen to your chat from last night, and I forgot my battery cable. I was like, screw it, I'll listen to the news, even though I don't like to. And they started talking about shooter, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. But that's it, man. We'll get into this thing in deep. It'll be fun.
Well, your video, believe it or not, early this morning, was the first, you know, because I don't turn on the news or whatever in the morning. And about halfway through your video, Coda Boy, I paused it. And I was like, I went to Drudge Report, and then I started researching. And I was like, oh, shit. At that time, you knew about 20 people, and by the time I looked at it, it was 50 people, 50 plus. You know, and then I went back and restarted the video, and I watched the whole video, and, you know, by the time I said 50 plus people, there were already other people commenting on that, and it was just like, holy shit. And then, and also, when I agree with you on far as the firearm. When I was doing my research, I actually heard, you know, live video while it's, if that was not an AK-47 full auto, it was a belt-fed weapon. I don't really think it was a belt-fed weapon because I didn't count the rounds. So forgive me on that. I didn't count the rounds. I hadn't went back and counted the rounds. But there was a big pause in between what seemed to be 30, 40 rounds. So I think it was a AK-47. It was not a AR-15. If they come out and say it was AR-15, I will have to kind of really pause and question that.
Yeah.
All right.
Just to let you know, they've already. Well, here's the thing, and this is what pissed me off earlier watching the news. First of all, they don't know their head from a hole in the ground when it comes to talking about guns. It was just absolutely ludicrous. I was watching. I guess I got off work and I came in and I started watching the Five. And Kimberly Guilfoyle, who I absolutely love, but she's basically looked. She goes, "Yeah, you can learn this stuff right on YouTube. You go on YouTube, you can learn how to make a semi-automatic into full auto." And I almost threw the remote through the TV. I was so pissed at the irresponsible reporting that these news organizations have. They're just shooting for the ratings, man, and they're sensationalizing this whole thing. And it just, I was like, wow, man, you guys, you don't know your head from a hole in the ground. Well, it was an AR-15. You have no fucking clue. And they're like, it was 10 rifles. Well, you know, we're assuming that he's probably got up to 13, maybe even 15. I'm like, oh my God, he's got a fucking small armory in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the first thing that pisses me off is these asshole reporters don't know their hole from a head. And they just, you know, and they're not going to put somebody on there that knows what they're doing. But I literally, the first person I heard was this doctor lady they had on there to talk about some other thing. And she started going into the Islam terrorist thing. And nobody said anything about Islamic terrorists, you know, and I agree that that's the first thing you point your finger at on most cases. But it was too many assumptions, too many going crazies. And it's just blew my mind. Sorry to take over. Go ahead.
No, just to kind of echo on what you guys are saying. You know, we can't forget this guy checked in on the 28th of September. Today's the actually, I guess it would have happened on the 1st of October. Today is actually the 2nd of October. So far, the last reports that I went through and looked at, they're saying that the injured and killed were hit by 308 and 223. He had a total of 17 guns, I think it was, in the hotel room, thousands of rounds, electronic surveillance equipment, and that basically over those days he just brought bags and bags and bags of guns in. So it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's over the top to believe that it was a 308 or a 223. I mean, that's.
How would they know? Well, let me ask you a question. The only way they would actually know that it was a 308 was to actually see the firearm itself. So I can understand a 7.62 by 51. But are you indicating that they've actually released what type of weapons he's had in there?
Yeah, that's from what I picked up. That's directly from the sheriff's mouth down there. That the only two weapons used out of the 16 rifles that they found were the 223 and the 308. Okay. Of course, that's still going to be preliminary of it. That's what came out within the last 45 minutes, is what I saw.
Yeah, see that automatically throws up a red flag for me, because a M16 has a cycle rate over 700 rounds a minute. I mean, a minute. But they give you an average 650 to 950 rounds per minute, and a AK is like 600 to 700. And if you listen to the video, you can almost count the rounds going off.
Yeah.
And if anybody's ever shot a M16 in full auto, you can't count the fucking rounds going off. There's no fucking way. I've shot a M16 full auto. Coda Boy, maybe you have too. Could you count the fucking rounds as they were going off?
No.
Mm-mm.
And that's the first. That's like the first thing that struck my mind is that's an AK, or it was some type of trigger system or a slide fire stock. That's the only thing I think. And he's not going to be accurate.
Yeah, but it was so consistent. I mean, once the shooting started, it didn't stop. You could almost tell it emptied the magazine. Of all the videos, we're YouTubers. Of all the videos, even somebody proficient with a bump fire, very rarely can they get a full mag go off without a hesitation. You know, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I've watched video after video after video. You know, there was a hesitation in between the shootings, but once it started, it didn't stop. It was a da 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 da, and then it might be 30 seconds. Da 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 da. You know, and there was hesitation, and then it started again. But once it started, it never fucking stopped.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody was using a bump fire, they were very, very proficient at it. But if they was that proficient at a bump fire, they really sucked at their fucking magazine reloads.
Mm-hmm.
Something didn't add up there.
Here's,
so I'm thinking they had full auto. They had a full auto gun. They couldn't fucking manipulate the magazines worth a damn. And if you can't manipulate the magazines worth a damn, there's no way in hell you could use a bump fire that efficient.
Here's my thought. Hit the bed, Fred. Here's my thoughts on the on why the magazine reload took so long. He had rented basically 2 rooms side by side. 2 windows were broken out, and he was, by all reports, he was on platforms inside those rooms. So he was a little higher elevated above the window that he was shooting out of. So let's think, and this is again pure speculation. He unloads a mag. Boom, there it goes. He takes the time to get off the platform, go to that other window so that he has a completely different angle. I think they said it was like a 45-degree difference. So like he could get part of the crowd out of one window and a completely different part of the crowd out of the other window. So he unloads that mag, gets down off the platform, probably leaves that weapon there, goes to position 2, climbs up on the platform, unloads another magazine. People start running the other way. So he climbs off that platform, goes back up. And I think, and here again, this is the speculation part, I'm pretty sure that's probably why we have that long pause in what we think might be a reload. I think he's changing positions back and forth.
Yeah. Well, both windows were blown out, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. But I'm just saying that, and I'm not saying that he couldn't have been, but from what I've gathered from this guy, he was a left winger. He traveled to Las Vegas on various occasions, partied, drank, blah, blah, blah. Not that I don't drink and party, blah, 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 you know. But I just don't see him being that proficient with a slide fire weapon.
Mm-hmm.
From the little bit of information I've gathered so far. From what I gather, go ahead, Cody.
If he was on a platform, he's leaning in the prone with a bipod. That's my assumption. If it was big enough, table-like, that's the way he would have done it. You would have probably been set back about 10 feet in the room, so you're not going to see any muzzle flash from outside. Because they couldn't locate the shooter. I mean, when they were looking, you saw the videos, there people were like pointing up at the building. They didn't know what floor he was at, but eventually they saw the blinds, I guess, were blowing out, or the curtains. But that's the way to do it. If you're going to set it back about 10, 12 feet inside the building and shoot from there. So if you had an elevated platform, that's what he was doing. He was shooting up here, down through the window. So my deal, and here's my thoughts are, if you've seen a slide fire from the prone, you can actually, with a good position bipod, you can be fairly accurate with the damn thing. But to be that consistent, I think somebody had some type of firearm that was tricked out, and he had a full auto firearm somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to the damn news stories, it was just so interesting. Like Tom Brokaw was like, yeah, you can go to any gun store and get a full auto gun. Anybody can do that. It's just like, oh, come on, man, quit that shit. You know, if you're going to report the news, report it responsibly.
Mhm.
Yeah, well, even the very first tweet that fucking Hillary brought out was like, "Oh, just think if he had a silencer." Well, guess what, you fucking bitch. Almost anybody can own a silencer if you pay the $200 fucking tax stamp and have it. But you know what we can't have is a full fucking automatic fucking machine gun, which that motherfucker had.
Yeah.
If he actually had a full auto machine gun, because I watched video after video after video listening to it. I don't think he had a slide fire. That motherfucker had a full auto machine gun, and it wasn't a fucking 223.
No, that was an AK. I bet you money. But that's where they're going to come up with that, or a Dragunov or something of that nature. But that's where they're going to come up with that 7.62. What did they say, Blue? Did they specifically find a 223 and a 308 AR-10 or what?
Well, there was a total of 16 rifles in the room, 1 pistol, and from what they're saying, the only ones that were shot so far, what they're saying, the only ones that were shot was the 223 and the 308. But there again, if you're going to be shooting that many rounds, and wouldn't you have a couple of 223s and a couple 308s so that once they got a little warm or whatever? I mean, I don't know if he thought that far in advance, but you know that's you don't have to be really that accurate, I don't believe, because from the windows to the front part of the stage, from what I'm seeing, was 1,350 feet. So you have 22,000 people crammed into a small area. Even if you just spray and pray, I mean, I'm guessing that's what he was doing. You know, you see the crowd move, you just start shooting. And
that's the sick part about it. I mean, honestly, that's the absolute sick part about that is just, he was shooting into the crowd, man. He didn't give a shit. He was just rolling through it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the guy was by all intents purposes, everything I'm seeing, the guy was a millionaire. So, I mean, he had houses in Florida, he had 2 in Nevada, and there was another one somewhere. You know, he had his own private plane. You know, he was well off. So somebody with that much money, you know, money talks. And even though they're reporting that he had bought over the last year, he bought like 3 rifles. I think it was in Nevada. It might have been Arizona, but it was all legal. Everything was legal. But that's Christ. Now they're saying that they found explosives and another, I think 30 guns or another 17. No, it was another 17 rifles or 20 rifles in one of his houses that they did a raid on.
Unless I'm mistaken, Coda Boy, you may can chime on this. Give a damn how much money you got. You cannot buy a firearm out of state. I cannot buy a fucking shotgun in North Carolina. I can't buy a fucking high-powered rifle in North Carolina. I can't buy a fucking pistol in North Carolina. I can buy it from a dealer and have it shipped to my FFL, and then I transfer it in my state.
No,
but I can't go to another state and buy a fucking gun.
You can buy a rifle, a long gun, all right, and or a shotgun, as long as the state you're buying from adheres to the same rules and regulations as your home state. I can go, and that's one of the reasons I was actually going to go to Cabela's up here and look at the Stoker, because I can buy a shotgun here legally and just carry it with me. A pistol, you cannot do it.
Okay.
But there's a little bit more involved. They got to check your local state, make sure that their laws are the same as the laws up here, which Pennsylvania and North Carolina pretty much are. But yeah, you can do that. But to go back to the question, a lot of people are talking about the full autos. You can buy an auto steer for an AR-15 and turn it into a full auto. You can buy it. That little piece, I don't know if you remember when back in the old days when you had your A2 and you had the 3, it had little notches in it for 3-round burst. Okay, of course you were a Navy squid man, so you don't remember those days. But in any case, you got the third hole in your lower. That little piece of steel is a serialized number, and that's what you have to have your tax stand for. But that little piece of steel costs about 10 grand. And there's only so many of them in the country. I know a guy that actually has one. He says, I'm keeping it. This is it. This is mine. No one else is going to get it. Chris Bartacci, or whatever his name is, did a thing on his. But there are people out there who you can fabricate all that stuff up on, and shit, if you had a steel shop, you can fabricate it up in 20 minutes. You go to jail, but hell, the guy shot 50 people or 60 people, killed them. So,
well, I will say the whole, what little bit of the story I've heard, none of it really makes sense. And I hate to fall into the conspiracy mindset, because that's why I backed off of Facebook today. And I just like, you know what? I got to walk away from this, because there's so many conflicting stories going out and nobody knows any facts. You know, I mean, there's very little facts going out, but there's a shitload of conspiracies and theories and conjecture. And it's like, you know what? Give it a little time before we actually start making accusations on what really happened. Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I am. But not 2 hours after it happened. You know, it's like, let's back off. Let it kind of play out, and then I can assess. And wait a minute, they didn't report on this, and I can get that information, and I can get this information, and blah blah blah, and put my own story together. But right now, I don't know what the fuck happened. I know me and Blue were talking beforehand. I mean, I seen video where it looked like a shooter was on the fourth or fifth floor shooting. It looked like there were two shooters. And then Blue said, well, was that a reflection? And I had to think about it. And I was like, well, maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe it was a reflection. It looked like it was a shooter on the fourth floor, but maybe it was a reflection off the hotel beside it. I don't know. You know, I'll have to gather that information, and because from what I've seen, I was thinking, hey, there's two shooters. And everything I've seen about the supposed shooter, it didn't make any fucking sense. It looked like, you know, maybe they popped his ass and just used his room to shoot and then escaped. And then and then the police comes in and say, oh, we got the shooter. He shot himself. Maybe that's what really happened. I don't know. You know, because he visited, Nevada, Los Angeles. What is it? Fucking not Los, Vegas a lot.
Yeah, he was a big gambler.
Yeah, you know, they could have just used his room and popped his ass, done a bunch of shooting, and left. And then the police showed up and was like, oh, look, all these guns, and here he is. He shot himself.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what happened. I really don't know. I have no freaking idea yet. It happened last night. There's not enough information out about it to make a substantial, you know, conclusion of what happened. There's no way anybody can make a conclusion of what happened other than a lot of innocent people got killed for no fucking reason. That's the only thing I know right now.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, we're, you know, the information is limited, but you know, I'm not big on saying the shooter's name, so I'm not going to say it now. But you know, this was, let me see here. I got a timeline here. I actually did some research on timelines and shit just so we had something to go off of. And this is all Las Vegas time. You know, at 9:40 p.m., Jason Aldean starts his set. At 10:08 is whenever the reports of shots are first started coming in. Now, this is the one conflict that I've had, because I've heard through different, you know, Facebook stuff plus different news sites that this was neutralized within 20 to 25 minutes. However, according to the official timeline, the shots started going off at 10:08 p.m. and they didn't have confirmation that the suspect was down until 11:58 p.m. That's a long ass time. That's like, what, an hour and 40 minutes, basically? There's no way it went on for an hour and 40 minutes, but it's the suspect. I mean, this is the weird stuff. Reported, he's 64 years old, reported to be a millionaire. There is zero criminal history on this guy. The family and friends that are coming out so far are saying that he had no ties to any political or religious organizations that would have sparked this. I mean, he's got several homes, he's got airplanes, and I'm sure that anytime anything like this is going to happen on U.S. soil, ISIS is automatically going to come out and say, which they did within hours. ISIS came out and said that he had converted to the Muslim faith, and he was one of their soldiers, and we're going to see more of this. So far, from what I've seen, the FBI has come out and said straight out, which I still think is too early for them to come out and say it, that there's no ties to any international terrorist groups. How the hell can they know that? Unless they've done complete sweeps on all of his computers, mail, everything. There's no way they can say that. Is he an ISIS fighter? He could be, but it doesn't sound like it. But how can you come out and say that before you have hit every one of his homes, taken every one of the computers, and done the forensic analysis on it? You can't do that.
And see what doesn't make sense to me. And like I said, I mean, I hate to even say it, but he was like, before the FBI shut his Facebook down, he was like very active in anti-gun websites. He was liking them, commenting on them, anti-gun. And all of a sudden, he's got full automatic fucking machine guns, and several of them in his room. This is where the conspiracy theorist comes out at me. A guy that is against guns, and all of a sudden has a full. I don't even have a fucking full automatic fucking machine gun. What? How the hell is this guy that's anti-gun have fully automatic machine guns shooting out of a 31st, whatever it was, story building on innocent civilians? Does not make sense to me. So there's a lot of unanswered questions, a lot of questions that need to be filled. It does not make sense. And I threw out the theory that, maybe somebody went in his room and fucking capped his ass, used him as an excuse, and fucking blasted the crowd, and then left. And then when the FBI and police and everybody shows up, oh, we got him. He shot himself after he done this crime. I'm not saying that's what happened, but from what little bit of information I've gathered, nothing makes sense. So I'm like, I'm not saying he didn't do it, but at the same time, I question, did he do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's that, for anybody that's out there watching the chat, that's all we're doing. We're having a conversation back and forth, throwing ideas off of each other. Nothing that we say is absolute. This is just our BS session about the tragedy that happened, and somebody's got to say it. So why not it be us?
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of inclined to go on with what TR just said. I think that this guy had a screw loose. I think he targeted this country music festival, just like the CBS lawyer said. I don't pity these guys. They're mostly a bunch of redneck Republicans, gun toters. So I mean, that made a touch off on me for a little bit. I hope that they find out the motive. That's the biggest thing for me right now, is just trying to figure out why somebody would do something so atrocious as this. Mm-hmm. And then nail whoever's behind it, him, if he was black. I mean, obviously I think he had some ideas about what was going on, and there's some other people out there that knew of this whole thing and may have influenced him. But I honestly believe that he went after these people as a whole, a group, and that's just the most atrocious fucking thing I've ever seen in my life, man. Just disgusting.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm just curious to find out more about his history. You know, if they can trace down his history of his what he's done, what he's no different than me or you or anybody else. You know, I mean, if they thought I committed a crime and they went back and looked at my YouTube videos, my Facebook posts, and blah blah blah, they can pretty much put a footprint on me of who I am.
Yeah,
and they can do that to anybody. So I want to see the footprint of him. You know.
That's one of the things that I always look at. My wife like looks at me now like, "Are you gonna get in trouble for moving guns, you know, and doing your thing?" And I go, "Well, if somebody were to say, friend, I live in an apartment that's out of state. It's not my home. Well, actually, I have a home, but my out of town home is my apartment. And when they were doing a description about this guy, I was like, oh shit, man, it sounds kind of like me. But you know, but going in and out of the apartment in a covert manner so that people don't like, you know, I go get the guns. I got a covered parking space that's secluded, so I know my car's pretty well protected. But like, I wait till it gets dark and later on in the evening to go get all my stuff out of the car, you know. But it's just when they were started talking about like, you know, well, why or is anybody just allowed to carry a gun in a hotel? I'm like, yeah, you are. It's called your Second Amendment right. It's your castle doctrine. That hotel is your room. You can do whatever you want. Like, oh my God, how in the world did he get all those guns in there? I said, shit, he was in there for how many days since Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
So he had a lot of time to play and set things up and go. And like you said, one of the guys were like, well, how in the world did he do all the setup and everything? And I said, well, it only takes a couple hours right after housekeeping, and he had till 10 o'clock that night. So it's not like it's not something that couldn't be done. It just sick. Again, I'm just sickened by it. But the naivety, that's the word, of the press and how they're just talking out their left side about a subject they don't know about. It's just crazy. Yeah, and then he set up the damn surveillance cameras in the corridor. That was smart.
Yeah.
You know, from a tactical standpoint, but this guy thought this shit out, man. He was well planned. He knew what he was going to do. He did it. I think that he knew who he was going to be shooting, and he did it for a reason. They're going to find out this guy, Hillary Clinton's going to eat her fucking words, man. You watch, bitch. That's my take.
Yeah. Well, hell, as far as a hotel room, you put the "Do Not Disturb" sign out there and never take it down. I mean, they don't have to come in your room every day.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You could actually put the towels outside, and they will put the new towels outside your door. You just leave the "Do Not Disturb" sign out there. They'd never have to walk in your fucking hotel room.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I gather it from the hotels I've stayed in. As long as that's up there, they won't come in.
And since we're kind of on the downfall of what's going to happen from here on out, I actually watched a news broadcast tonight to where an individual came on and they were talking back and forth, and he said that we need more security like they have in is it Israel?
Oh, you were watching that colonel, that the special forces colonel?
It might have been to like where like you go into a hotel, they check your bags, you walk through metal detectors, and then if you don't let housekeeping in, that throws up a red flag, and they'll come in and search your hotel room. And it was like
the ACLU will be all over that. That shit'll never happen.
It was just like, damn. But you know, there's still people dying in surgery, and we're already talking about this is what we need to do to secure the country. I mean, something fucking failed. I don't know what it is. You know, was this a legal gun owner that just fucking went off his rocker, or was there missed cues that there had to have been miscues there? I mean, God, there had to have been. Something's going to come out mind blowing, and it's going to be after they actually have a chance to do those forensic swipes on his computers and shit. But
well, that's the problem. Anybody could snap at any moment, and there's no way to regulate that. There, I mean, without being just a flat out oppressive tyranny, you can't regulate people to the point to where we're going to make it to where somebody can't snap. You can't do that. And I don't give a damn what. That guy had full automatic weapons. And I doubt very seriously there were legal weapons for him to own. How that happened, I don't know. But I doubt very seriously he had a class 4 fucking license to have, or class 3 or class 4. I forget which one it is, to have full automatic weapons, because I don't give a damn what. I have yet to see somebody that good with a slide fire that couldn't reload faster than that. If you're that good with a slide fire, within seconds, you already got another magazine in it. And it was like an onslaught of ammo. And then they were like a 10, 15, 20-second pause. Then another onslaught of ammo. If you're that good with a slide fire, there's no way in hell you're that shitty at changing magazines.
I'm laughing at you. It's just the way you said it.
Mm-hmm. But does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, when you said that, that's what I was laughing at. Was like, yeah, that makes sense to me, because you know, you've got some experience with. And that was another thing. The fucking news was sitting there jacking off, going, "Yeah, he must have had some type of serious training to do what he did." I was like, he was shot into a crowd of 20,000 people from 300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
There's no experience needed to pull a fucking trigger and put the dot in the middle of a gaggle of people. And that's what it blows my mind, man. The news organizations, that's one of the things that they're sensationalizing this guy. They're not reporting on facts. It's all conjecture and assumptions. And then they get assholes that don't know their head from a hole in the ground. It's like that colonel, that SF colonel that made a statement. So I was sitting there going, man, where the fuck are you coming from, jackass? It just blew my mind.
And there was right after the colonel was on, there was another. I wish I could remember his name, and I do know he was definitely Democratic, and he was on Tucker Carlson. He was interviewing him, and you know, this guy kept coming up with, you know, what if, and he echoed what Hillary Clinton was saying. You know, what if this guy would have had a silencer, and there would have been so much more death because people wouldn't have heard the shots coming. And Tucker Carlson's like, have you ever shot or been around a 308 or a 223 with a silencer? You still hear it. It might be muffled a little bit, but and he just went on the attack. And then the guy went, like, he switched paces to where, well, I'm not just talking about silencers. I'm talking about all guns in general and how easily that they're given to anybody. And then, you know, Tucker came back and he was like, all right, well, this guy had a clean criminal history, clean everything, so he could pretty much own whatever he wanted. And that's the way that the laws are set up. And he asked the fella something to the point of what law needs to be put in place just for a gun ban toward anybody that would stop something like this. And there was no answer. He could not answer the question. You know, and that's you can't answer that question, because if you have a nutball or you have a criminal, it's been proven over and over again, they're going to get their hands on the weapons no matter what it takes.
Yeah, and they're also they're going to use whatever it takes, whatever's easiest.
Well, that was my point earlier. It's like, well, if he was a legal citizen, he could have got not a silencer, a suppressor. If anybody, I've been around suppressors many, many times. It's not silent. It's not the fucking movies, especially if it's a high-powered rifle. Almost anybody can have one of those, depending on the state you live in. But I guarantee you, not anybody. I can get you buy a $200 tax stamp and get a suppressor. It may take me fucking 10 months to get it, but I can get it. But to get a class 3 or 4 license, holy shit, the fucking paperwork and shit you got to go through to be able to own a fucking full automatic weapon.
Oh, that and the
is a whole nother shit storm.
Somebody did some work, or he did the work to that thing, and I'm not sure. I mean, how would you turn a AK-47 into a full auto operating gun?
You can't. You can't. It's a whole different fucking thing. I mean, I'm not saying you couldn't do it, but there's machining. There's different parts you have to buy. There's this. I mean, a guy that supposedly just went to Vegas and partied and blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying he didn't have the capability or whatever to have the full auto or make a AK full auto, but it seems very suspicious to me.
Yeah.
But just getting back to the politics of it, if he wanted a suppressor, that would be the easy part. Going full auto would be the hard part. And I heard magazine after magazine after magazine. I watched many, many videos on this today. It was not a fucking slide fire. That motherfucker had a full auto fucking gun. If he wanted a suppressor, he would have had a suppressor on it. He didn't give a shit about that. Because you know what? If he was on the 32nd floor, from what I've seen, yards away, it does not matter if you had a suppressor or not. He knew that, or whoever was doing the shooting knew that. It doesn't matter. And I even seen, this is what really pissed me off and made me kind of sign off Facebook for today. Oh, it took 10 minutes for him to find him. It's like, you know what? If it took him 10 minutes to get to him, that would be the suspicious part. How in the fuck did they find him in 10 minutes? He's shooting from 1,000 yards away. If you're 1,000 yards away from somebody shooting at you and you found them in 10 minutes, that means you knew where the fuck they were to start with. There's no way in fucking hell you could find somebody in 10 minutes that was shooting at you from 1,000 fucking yards away.
Now this.
Well, let me help you out on that. All right, so you can find a general direction of where fire, let's just say the gunfire is coming from. Modern day building automation systems, fire alarms, and from what I understand, they were saying that the smoke alarm was going off in that room. So what happens is, and I'm just happen to be like somewhat of an expert on this subject, but they can go into the Fire Command Control Center. I know for a fact that a building like the Mandalay Bay has a huge security system, so they can pinpoint exactly what room that smoke alarm is coming from. If anybody fucks with the thermostat in those rooms or anything, they know about it. It's scary how much control somebody behind a computer has when you're in a casino or any major building. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much how they located them that fast. All they got to do is go up to the building engineers and say, what's going on here? Give me the layout of the building. The police already have layouts of all the buildings. All they got to do is they go to the floor plan, the main Fire Command Control Center. They say, pull me up. They've got smoke evac fans, all kinds of crazy shit. That all they got to do is hit a button, man, and they can evac the smoke out of the buildings for egress. But that's what happened. They went in there. They found out what room the reports were coming in also from people on that floor that gunshots could be heard, and all they had to do was find that one room, and boom, they were there.
Right. Now let me ask you this, Coda. With the knowledge that you have about these systems, a lot of people out in the chat room, which I agree with you, the smoke alarm, the fire alarm, that type of thing, those hotels, a lot of people out there are saying as soon as he broke the window, alarms started going off. Would it make sense that windows would also be alarmed?
You know what? From that height, it could be that they'll have motion sensors that could pick up the glass break. But you know, I don't know that would be something that I would be concerned about or anything else. But I know that the smoke is monitored, temperature's monitored, water usage, all that kind of stuff, man. But once you get there's a potential that you could show an issue or trouble when the windows were broken, because you're going to have a bunch of, if you notice that when TR, you know about negative air pressure, positive air pressure in a building, when you get a window that's broken, you saw those drapes were pulled out. That's the positive airflow in the building. So they could have gotten the airflow monitoring alarm to go off, but I don't know. I don't know about the window portion of it. It would have more to do with the airflow.
All right.
I could see him pinpointing it a little bit quicker with that, but and it, you know, maybe that's how it went down. I'm just saying, I seen somebody bitching on YouTube. It was, Facebook, and they were like, almost to the point that they thought it was fake because it took 10 minutes to figure it out. I've seen the videos from people with cell phones at the concert. You could tell it was from a long ways away.
Yeah.
But you could hear it. And it was like, well, fuck, there's a hotel there, there's a hotel there, there's a hotel there. They ain't got no fucking clue where it's coming from. And for the police to figure it out in 10 minutes,
yeah,
didn't.
They had people actually pointing at the windows at some point. If they got videos of the guys looking like, look up there, and all of a sudden the firing started again. They're like, oh fuck, get down. Like, why are you people standing there? Run like hell.
He wasn't pointing. He wasn't pointing, Cody. He was doing the old one finger salute until the he's not pointing. He's looking up at the window going, you know, F you, and then the shooting starts and he's like, God damn.
But I'm just saying that if the police did, from the time the shooting started, if they actually got to the door in 10 minutes, is fucking amazing.
But not really. I mean, it seems quick, but whenever there's that much gunfire, I mean, if it was a pop and then a pop and then a pop, I mean, I could see it taking a little bit longer to get to where that's going. But even the small town south of me, Coda Boy, you might have this in Harrisburg. I don't know. Do you guys have that gunfire triangulation system set up in the city?
Yeah, because you've got within a 3-block radius, you've got the Capitol building, the federal courthouse. So they've got a lot of different monitoring systems here in the city, to include radiation, believe it or not. But if the gunfire goes off in here, they could probably tell where it's coming from within a couple seconds.
And within like a 10-foot, I mean, they're accurate up to 10 feet is from what I'm told, you know. And so, I mean, you can't tell me that Las Vegas doesn't have the same type of system. So they were able to triangulate where it was coming from. Plus you have people on the ground that are pointing. It's not, I don't think it's over the top to think that within 10 minutes they figured out where the gunfire was coming from. I don't.
Well, I don't deny that. I'm just saying, from the time the gunfire started to the time that they knocked the door down, 10 minutes, awful fucking quick to me. I'm not trying to throw out a conspiracy theory or anything like that. I'm just saying, if they got to that hotel room within 10 minutes of the first shot fired to when they knocked the door down in 10 minutes, that is fucking amazing if they could actually do that. I can't get from a quarter mile of my business that I work at from one intersection to the business I work at in 10 minutes on a Monday morning just for fucking traffic. And it's literally, I could actually probably get out of my fucking truck and walk to where I'm at quicker than I could fucking drive. You know, it is probably like two football fields. It takes me 10 minutes to get 2 football fields from this one intersection to where I work at. And for a gunshot to go off, and this was full automatic gunfire went off, for them to get there from the first shot to the door and bust it down in 10 minutes, if they'd done that, oh my God, they were fucking amazing. But it just seems like this is almost unimaginable to me. I'm not saying they didn't do it. I'm just saying, wow, if they did that, that's because that was one of the things that I kind of had to back off on Facebook, because this one girl, whatever, is like, why did it take 10 minutes? And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Or if they could get there in 10 minutes from the first shot fired, holy shit, they did an awesome job.
Right. And it's not, it came out in the side chat, and I was going to make this point earlier, but it's not like we're looking at a small sports venue. But even a small sports venue, you have hundreds of cops on the ground. This was a huge 3-day festival that the city had planned for months in advance. I can't even, I don't know the number off the top of my head. If somebody out in the external can do a quick Google search of how many police officers were on duty whenever this happened, I'm guessing it's in the hundreds. I mean, it's got to be, I mean, hundreds and hundreds. So
pretty big city where they had thousands. People were coming from home probably to join the situation, for lack of a better word. I mean, if you were on your and something like this occurred in your town, wouldn't you expect a phone call, or wouldn't you just fire and head to work?
Oh, no. I'm just talking about the people that were there already. There had to have been, I mean, close to, I would say close to 800 cops on the ground whenever this first started. I'm not right at the venue, but in Las Vegas.
Oh, right.
You know, I mean, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, there would have been a freaking call list, and everybody would have started coming in. But I'm talking on the ground when it happened. There was probably 800 to 1,000 cops within 2 miles of that. Because even
and then I just wanted to back up a little bit on a comment that TR had made. I've been listening and watching. I was just eating dinner so late. Obvious way to find that shooter when cops are inbound. Mandalay Bay is a huge building that faces a major highway. A lot of people can have eyes on that building all at the same time, and when there's 2 huge, 10 by 10 square foot windows that are gone from a corner of the building and the curtains are blowing out of it, it's really easy to see from a lot of different places that we to start looking for somebody shooting out of a building. I don't think anybody addressed that.
Did you see the internal? SoCal? Your bandwidth's
Oh, okay. All right.
You're pretty jumpy, so you want to turn that down.
Wife is hogging bandwidth with friggin' Netflix.
Well, I mean, standing from the outside of the building, even if you've seen a window blew out, I mean, it would be hard to judge what floor it was. I mean, you'd be like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but the alarms and the things that you were talking about earlier about you know, security might know because of pressure or whatever in the hotel room sensors may pick up, and they know it, and the police could go to them and then say, hey, what the hell's going on and what floor? And maybe they could point it out real quick. You know, I'm not saying that they couldn't find them that quick. What I'm saying is from the first shot to 10 minutes later, if they were able to get to that guy's room, is fucking amazing. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying that anybody questioning that it took 10 minutes from the first shot to them getting to the door of that hotel room, if you're questioning that it took 10 minutes, you should be fucking amazed that it only took 10 minutes. I'm thinking it should have took fucking longer to get to it, to figure out where the fuck is this guy? Okay, he's on 31st floor. Is it 32? Is it 35? What fucking room is it? I mean, and there's multiple hotels around there. If it only took 10 minutes, that is a fucking phenomenon that I applaud them that it only took 10 minutes. Don't get me wrong on anything I've said.
Right. If
they zeroed in on that room in 10 minutes, that is fucking awesome.
TR, check the internal.
Okay.
Like 2 or 3 comments up. It starts with SoCal, turn your bandwidth down.
Okay. Okay. What the fuck do you do?
Can you send that out?
All right.
Hello, brother.
Are you doing better now?
I'll just speak really slowly.
Can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
What?
Blue, change the subject.
Oh, no.
As it got colder, we would have more viewers, and we hit like 110 viewers so far tonight. And this is just one night later.
Yeah.
But it's a special night. But yeah, I mean, it's a tragic. I know I contacted a few people today, and I don't have TV. I don't have cable, so I'm going to have to play catch up. But I'm kind of curious how they're going to blame this whole thing on Trump, because I got a feeling they're going to blame it on Trump. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
On mute, right?
Yeah.
No,
I'll tell you what was
amazing.
interesting. If you guys listened to the speech he gave today, I was driving up the road and I was listening to CNN for a few seconds because I was getting pissed off at Fox because they were just sitting there. They're a bunch of gaggle fucks. But CNN came on after his speech, and the one guy said, "Well, that's as good a speech as any president could have ever given in this whole thing." And I'm guessing the lady who was doing the hosting or the anchoring at that point, she just kept going back and forth trying to get somebody to say, that it wasn't a good speech. And everybody was like, "No, that's pretty much about as good a speech as you're going to give." And the politics falling into it. It's just the whole. I'm sicking with the media. I'm sicking with Facebook and all the bullshit. I got friends of mine, hell, the bodies weren't even stiff yet, and they were already going, "Oh, well, here comes the NRA, 3, 2, 1." I was like, give it a fucking rest for a minute, man. Let's find out what happened, because he was probably an overraged Democrat wanting to kill a bunch of Republicans, and then we're going to go, "Oh, you're the asshole." So that's my conspiracy theory. So I can feel my sleeping pills kicking in, so I might not last a whole lot longer. I'll pull a pops here in a minute.
Yeah, we'll probably stop this in about we'll stop this at 11. How about that? In about 20 minutes.
That'll work.
Well, we already know it wasn't a conservative. I mean, I don't even like country music, or not modern country music, but I consider myself a conservative. And I'm pretty sure a conservative wouldn't go to Las Vegas to shoot at fellow conservatives. So we already know this guy's a left wing fucking nut job right off the bat.
I think that's the case. I honestly do. And when it comes, I hope it comes out. Because here's the deal: you had the nut job that shut up the baseball field for the Senate baseball game. He did that, as a thing from the left. I think that if we find out this guy is an extreme leftist guy, I don't know what Rachel Maddow is going to do with herself. She'll probably just explode. So it's crazy.
Well, I mean, every time there is a shooting, it's a left wing, a Muslim, a radical. It's always a radical left wing or Muslim, which is the same fucking thing, shooting. Very, very seldom is it a right wing extremist. It's the majority of the time, it's always a left wing extremist. The last,
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say the last time a so-called right-wing extremist shot up was at Dylan Roof at Charleston. But he wasn't really a right-wing. He was just a fucking racist.
Yeah.
And I don't consider a racist right-wing. He was just a fucking racist. I'm not a racist. I'm right-wing. I'm a conservative, but I'm not a fucking racist. A racist is a whole nother fucking venue. That's a whole nother fucking thing. That isn't right-wing. That's if you're a racist, don't hit your wagon to my damn horse, because you're nothing to do with me.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's just it's disheartening. It just makes me sick to my stomach. I actually called my wife early this morning when I was driving up the road, and she's like, "Hey, what's going on?" I said, "Check the damn news." And as far as the gun control thing that could follow out after this, that's like everybody was like, "Get the ammo now before they ban it." They're not going to ban that shit. You got a Second Amendment president in office. We control the House and the Senate currently. So I don't. I think this is going to be the same thing. That's just shit's going to go away eventually. A lot of folks in a chat are sitting there, talking about they're going to come and take our guns and stuff like that. Me personally, I don't think that's going to happen. If it does, then my answer is the same thing as everybody out there. I'm not giving my shit up for shit. So that's going to be the worst thing that could ever happen. Bald and Curious, yes, you do hate everybody equally, especially me. But just
I think he actually hates me more, honestly. When I woke up this morning, I groggy the weekend, still hungover from Saturday night, and the first thing I do, I make my coffee, I feed my cats, go to the news on my computer, huge full page HTML5 animated video, massive shooting, and my heart just sunk. It's just a happy way to start the day, and a little bit further the day is probably around 8:30. My best friend Matt, not SOS Matt, he's a great friend as well, but the guy I grew up with, I went to high school with him, and I've known him ever since. He shoots me a text message saying, "Hey, got shot," and I was just like, "No." And then Patty, my wife, tells me, hey, this person I work with, her friend got shot. And then my PC millennial guy, the guy who's the PC tech that works for me, he found out that one of his sister's friends got shot. They were all at this event, and it's just like, I kind of equate it. I mean, it's not the same level, or not even close to the same level, but the same level of tragedy to 9/11, where there were so many people affected that it's almost difficult to imagine who didn't have that same relationship with somebody who knew somebody that either got shot or killed. None of the people I knew who had people get shot, they were taken to hospitals and taken care of for the most part. But this is totally fucked up.
No, and I'm going to echo what you just said, because I mean, everybody out there, well, actually we have more viewers tonight than we have in a while, but you guys know what I do. And there's been, I didn't know about this until like 9:30, Eastern time. And after I digested some of it and turned on the news for a while, I went around and I drove around, and I'm not a highly religious guy. I'm not a very emotional guy at all. I shed some tears, and I even said a prayer, because I mean, it was disgusting what happened. I mean, it was absolutely disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just, again, the trauma that these folks are going to go through for the rest of their lives that were there, who may have experienced somebody getting shot right next to them. There's nothing like it. I feel bad for them. I really feel bad for the families. But we got to move forward and pull out of this thing. The interesting thing is, like everybody's talking about, is the gun control. What's the effect going to be? The after effect? Who knows? This is at least, and everybody said, we don't have the House or the Senate. We do have the majority vote in there, and the majority of those people are going to be, pro Second Amendment, or they're going to lose their seat. There are going to be a lot of people. They're going to probably do a sit-in like they always do. But that fucking lawyer from CBS, to make the comments that she makes, I actually have friends who think like that, and I just shake my head at them. I'm just like, it's not really my friends; they're people I know, but they'll say some stupid shit like that because they think that there's other people out there who think like they do. And that's the extreme individual who has just lost their fucking senses, man. They're already on the bus to do the gun control thing. The bodies are not even cold yet. They're already preaching gun control, gun control, gun control. So that's why my personal hope is that this guy is a left-wing radical fucking asshole, and we'll find out soon.
He was, and he was a left-wing radical. He was a supporter of actual gun control, websites, groups, and stuff like that. I don't know how much the mainstream media is going to fucking put it out there, but you will find out in the days to come. He was a left-wing radical that believed in gun control and was anti-Trump. It's going to happen. I've already seen it, but it's already been pulled because FBI shut down his website.
Yeah,
his Facebook account.
Well, that was one of the things.
Before they shut it down, I said we're able to snatch that information down.
Yeah. Well, one of the guys made a comment on mine is that he went by the name Jerry or something like that. Did you guys see that in the comment section on my video? And the guy was telling me about he's like a real bad left winger and all this stuff. Is that the site that everybody's talking about? Is that accurate? Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I've gathered. Yeah. And then the FBI shut it down and you can't access that information. So what happened was people can, if it's out there, You can screen save it, you can snatch it, you can do whatever you want until they shut it down, and that's what happened. He's a left winger. He was a left wing kind of guy, you know. I mean, he and that's what's don't make sense that he was against guns and somehow had full automatic weapons. So I'm not going to put my tinfoil hat on yet because I want to see what happens in the days or weeks to come. I believe it or not, I would like to actually gather information before I make my assessment of what actually happened. I know there's way too many people within the bodies were not even cold yet. And I've seen on Facebook people saying, oh, this is a false flag. This is a false flag. And it's like, really? There's motherfuckers laying in the street fucking dead. Don't tell me it's a fucking false flag. Fuck you.
Yeah.
As much as a conspiracy theorist, I am, just because something bad happens does not mean it's a false flag. It might be a crazy motherfucker that just fucking flipped his wig and shot people. So until you know the facts, don't tell me it's a fucking false flag. That shit pisses me off more than anything is people that are conspiracy theorists that are supposedly trying to find the truth in things. And no matter what happens, they will just scream false flag, false flag, false flag. It's like you don't even have the facts yet. You don't have no fucking idea what happened. If it's a false flag, I'll call it a false flag. But just because it happened 2 hours ago, I don't have any fucking information. I don't have the facts. I don't know what the fuck happened. Give me a couple of months to assess what happened, then I'll give you my opinion on it. These motherfuckers that just say false flag, I don't give a shit if fucking Trump makes a fart. They'll say, oh, that's a false flag. It's like, you son of bitches need to shut up, go back in your fucking basements, and fucking concrete the goddamn door shut.
Makes sense to me.
I'm sorry.
In TR, I'm going to bring this up just because there's one asshole out there that says you have your flags hung wrong. It's YouTube. It's a mirror image. If he fucking switches it around, everything's good. So just fuck off.
Actually, what it does is it switches it around on your own screen.
Well, I'll tell you about my American flag. I've tried to figure out which way to hang it, and I hadn't really figured out the right way yet. So let me go ahead and tell you why the American flag is hung the way it is. All right. First of all, it could be hung the right way. If it's not, it's hung upside down because I think America's in distress. And when I hung it upside down because I think America's in distress. But I'm not sure it could be hung the actual right way. But the way I hung it is I hung it because I think America's in distress. And if you ever pull up the American flag upside down, that means you're in distress and we need help. That was my intent. So if it is backwards, that was my intent. If it's right, I fucked up and hung it the wrong way. Does that make sense?
It's all right. There's bigger things to worry about in this world than that. I actually had that flag hanging behind my desk, and I would have to look at it to see what actual direction it's in. I did a video the other day because I made sure I looked it up on the interweb and to find out if it was hanging correctly.
If it's hanging straight down like what you guys have, the blue, if you're looking at it, the stars are in the left upper corner.
Okay.
Well, fuck, I fucked up because it's actually hung the right way then.
So if you turn around, that's your up left corner. See?
Exactly.
It's the mirror image on YouTube. Woo-oo.
If I turn around, guess what? Well, no, that's my right hand.
No. See,
Yeah, I did it right. America's in distress, people. America's in distress. If you don't think that, you're not paying attention.
yeah, that's the way I got it. Blue, what happens is it switched up on our little cameras here from mirror. So it's like that. But I think if you look at the video on the actual outside thing, it shows it correctly. Hell, I don't. Hold on, I'm gonna start waving my head here. I can't remember. All right, I'm brain dead. Shit's going crazy. I've been up since.
All right. Yeah, we're going to end this in about 5 minutes. All right, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip that flag around. I did that intentionally. I really did. But I'm going to flip it around. I have my Gadsden flag. I'm going to have my American flag. I'm going to flip it around the correct way. But I did that intentionally, but because these chats, this is well, I know it's not a Sunday night chat. I mean, I've been doing this shit for over 2 years. My chats for over 2 years. I've been on chats for way longer than that. I think America's in trouble. And that's why I flipped that flag around and hung it the wrong way, because I'm flying it upside down, because I think America's in trouble. I think we are in distress, and we got to get active. We may not make a damn difference in the world, but at least we are talking about it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. If you did it on purpose, then that's the way it was. I just put I thought we were looking at a mirror image until I just now looked at it and saw your Gadsden flag with the "Don't Tread on Me," like the way we should see it, and I was like, ah, shit! Insert foot in mouth.
No, I did that on purpose.
Think of it this way, Taylor. It really depends on what side of the flag you're standing on. If you went around the flag and looked at it, it'd be right. No problem.
I intentionally, that flag's been flying like that ever since I put it up, and I intentionally put it to where it was actually upside down, because I think America is in distress.
Makes sense to me. Oh, Lordy.
It's not like I'm asking for somebody to come here with fucking mortars and help me fight my way out of my house or anything, but I think America's in trouble. Jesus Christ, what the hell is going on? When Pee-wee football players are taking a knee when the national anthem's being played. If we're not in distress right now, my God, what does it take for us to be in distress?
If my son's football coach did that shit right there, I would not hesitate walking out on that damn football field, tell my boy to come with me now.
Yeah, exactly.
And look at him right in front of all the other kids, and I would just say to that coach, go fuck yourself.
Yep.
And I guarantee I'd have some parents following me.
I agree. Absolutely.
Now, I will admit that I did check the scores this week just because I needed to know if, somebody was going to beat the Patriots, because I hate the Patriots. and it did turn out that way. But my brother was asking me the other day. He goes, well, what's going on Sunday, man? We can watch the football because he's coming in on this coming Sunday. And I said, nah, dude, I ain't watching that shit. He said, well, what do you do? And I go, we check the score every now and then, make sure they're winning, but I will not privilege them with fucking viewing that shit. I had some other asshole made a comment like, what the fuck do you think a couple of you people not watching the videos or watching the game is going to hurt? I go, this not just a couple people, asshole. It's about half the fucking country. So, you know what? I subscribe to this one channel, like it's Conservative American or whatever it is. But they got this deal like Anheuser-Busch has given them the ultimatum. They're going to pull their advertisement dollars from the NFL if they keep this shit up. So that's fine. Hit them where it hurts. Let the fucking money speak. But the byproduct is all these other individuals are going to probably end up laid off or whatever. But it's just a mind fuck. And where did this all of a sudden become acceptable to do?
Let me stop right here. Let me give you the number. It's such a big deal to Anheuser-Busch. They have a separate phone line to let them know that you do not appreciate them supporting the NFL. They come up with a separate phone line just to call in. And you have to give a voice, protest or whatever, because they have 1,100 fucking veterans on their payroll. And they actually are more worried about losing customers than they are gaining them, by supporting the NFL. They're like, we're at a crossroads. And if we get enough people to say, don't support the NFL, fuck it, we're pulling our sponsorship. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get out a pen and pencil, I'll give you that number right now.
Yeah, it's 1-800-CALL-MUD, isn't it? Or something.
It's
like 1-800-342-5283. That is 1-800-342-5283. 3425. Wait a minute, that don't sound right. 1-800-342-5283. I called it and did mine too. The Real Cobra Burnout is the one that alerted me to that, and he did it live, but anyway. And that number is like, if you want us, if you call that number, 1-800-325. Shit, what is it? 1-800-342-5283. That seems wrong. Maybe it's 13. Fuck, I fucked it up. Go to the Real Cobra Burnout. Anyway, they got that number, and it's like, if you want to ask us to pull out of NFL sponsorship, press 1 or whatever it is. I mean, that number is just for that. They're like, if you tell us to pull out of the NFL, we'll pull out of the NFL. If enough of you tell us to pull out of the NFL, we're going to pull our sponsorship. And that's a big fucking deal. Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is that I had a couple people, start going into the thing. Well, if you don't support the ability to protest, you're un-American. I said, whoa. First of all, back up, Jack. I believe in protest. If you got a beef with this country or a beef with whatever you have, I don't have to agree with you, but it's your right to do the protest. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit there and watch you. I have the right to not watch you. If you want to kneel, go fucking kneel. I don't care. But I don't have to watch it. It's like burning the flag. We got the greatest country in the entire world. You have the right to burn the flag. It is your right. Whatever. Go burn the motherfucker. But you know what? I don't have to sit here and watch it. I don't have to help you if you're on fire. I wouldn't piss on a guy if he was on fire after burning a flag. And the same thing falls for the NFL. They can do whatever they want because it is their right to do it. A lot of people are like, well, no, they're not supposed to because they're employees and yada, yada. I agree. I don't think you should have to be able to do that while you're on the job. But you know what? Here's the deal. Fuck it. Go do what you want to do. But I also have the freedom. I don't have to watch the game. If I don't watch the game, there's going to be a lot of other people who don't watch the games. And where do these people make their money? In advertising. The channels, the radio stations, the TV stations make their money in the advertising dollars. And if you don't have the viewership, guess what happens? Your advertising rates go down because the advertiser rates are basically in conjunction with, like, if I got a high rating, I can charge more for my advertising. If I've got from 50,000 people to 10,000 people, my income just got cut in half. And if you cut the TV dollars out, guess what's going to happen? They're going to make a phone call to NFL and go, yeah, we need to cut this shit out. And the problem is now Fox News has started just eliminating viewing of the national anthem. So, screw it. We'll go to commercial break, in which they've pretty much done in the past, but they're doing it on purpose now. So whatever. If they want to continue doing it, fuck them.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you didn't catch this, Coda Boy. You do have a First Amendment right, kinda, to say whatever you want, whenever you want, just like we're, but not really. The First Amendment only guarantees you the right to boycott, to protest, to complain about the government, and the government can't do shit about it. But if you're on, I don't know where you work at, Coda Boy, but my business that I work at, I don't have a First Amendment right. I don't have a Second Amendment right. I don't have a Fourth Amendment right. I don't have any fucking rights. They can search my locker. I can't carry a fucking gun in there. I can't fucking voice my opinion in there. I have no constitutional rights where I work because the Constitution is only guarantees the rights of us to have freedom of speech, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, against the government. The government cannot shut me up. If the NFL allows those players to speak their mind, okay, you can do that. But it's not technically their First Amendment right.
Well, no, so, that's not what I was getting at, and I think that.
Oh, I know. I'm just kind of clarifying
that you have a right. You can say what you want, but that corporation also has a right to fire you for saying something where you inappropriate wherever you want. So that's what I'm saying. Is that you can say where the fuck you want, but you also, that company or whoever, I as an individual or that company has the right to diss your ass the minute you do. So the idea is, what are the consequences? Are you going to weigh those? Are you going to give up your TR, your multi-million-dollar engineer working in a plant? Are you going to fuck that up by taking a knee every morning while the president does their announcements over the intercom? Probably not if you're worth a couple $1 million a year. If they say, do it one more time, and y'all will fire your ass. And enough people do that, that's what's going to be the problem. Yeah. So, and you're only as good as the people paying you, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the law protects me. I can go into the plant manager's office tomorrow and just cuss him out, drag his ass out from one side to the other. They can't arrest me for it, but I'll get fired. Yeah. I have to, face the consequences. But you know what? The federal government is not going to come down on me and say, "Oh, you couldn't do that, so we're going to put you in jail." That's your First Amendment right. You can just say whatever the fuck you want. It's just that the federal government can't lock you up for doing it.
Right.
But if you do it at work, they can fire you. And there's not a fucking thing you can do about it.
Nope. ACLU might come in, but probably not for you.
Yeah, not for me. They'll look at my chat and say, "Oh, they're rebel flag. Nah, fuck him."
Yeah.
I did change it for tonight.
All right, well, guys, I got to go to bed. It's 11:07. Well, we were supposed to get rid of this thing a minute ago, but thank you very much for inviting me there, TR. I appreciate it, man. You're always a pleasure to be with. I hate that I got to leave early, but it was early morning this morning, and I'm surprised I'm still up. But it's been fun. God bless those people out there, man. God bless the families. I'm praying for them because that's really truly. Damn, man, you can't go anywhere anymore, and there's no way to defend against that.
No, there's not, and that's what and we're ending this, and this some of the comments I've seen on Facebook is like they didn't do adequate security. It's like you cannot defend somebody 1,000 fucking yards away shooting out of a hotel room.
Yeah,
you cannot do that. So shut the fuck up. Anyway, Coda Boy. Dude, thanks for being on here. I really appreciate it. I thank you for joining, and we'll talk soon. And we're ending this, so that was your outro, and I'm going to let the other guys go. And if you need to jump out, go ahead, man.
I'll hang out.
Blue, you want to do outro?
Oh, absolutely. I've got to do an outro. Again, echoing on Coda Boy, thoughts and prayers for everybody that was involved in this. This is going to be a long road of recovery. You know, and I saw a couple Facebook posts today, which made me laugh a little bit, but hurt at the same time. All of these, and since we kind of touched on the NFL, these NFL dickheads that are kneeling at the flag and doing this, what would have happened if the cops would have kneeled during this? You know, they didn't kneel. They ran toward the danger. It was neutralized and it was taken care of. And I'm going to end this on this. It was a Facebook post that I did earlier, and I can't believe how many shares it's got already. It's pretty amazing, actually. And I'm going to end it on this, TR. If only we came together as a nation all the time instead of only in times of crisis. Despite the horrible actions of one man, Americans came together and did whatever it took to help those injured. Then, hours later, hundreds of Americans lined the streets to donate blood. For a brief moment, we were not white, we were not black, we were not Hispanic. We were one, we were American.
That's beautiful. Gorgeous.
Well, it's true, though.
Yeah.
There is a conquer and divide but in America right now that is like so bad that it's just unreal. I don't know. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but anyway, what the fuck, SoCal? You want to do an outro?
Kudos on the Facebook, Blue. It was right on time, spot on. Again, just wanted to mirror what Blue said. Prayers to the individuals who are suffering right now and the families of the inflicted. And I think that everybody should just think about that tonight and send your prayers and thoughts to them as well. Thanks for having me on, TR.
Well, thanks everybody for coming in. Thanks for the audience out there, the commenters. Had a big group of people out there. We just kind of felt like it was worth doing a special chat out of the blue, out of the ordinary. I mean, because it happened last night, and on my chat last night, it hadn't happened yet, and we just wanted to talk about it a little bit. And thanks everybody for coming out. We appreciate it. It was a not great. It was an awful, awful tragedy that happened. And as the days and weeks go by, we'll find out more about it. Of course, none of us have really any good information about what happened, other than a lot of people got killed and a lot of people got hurt. And we felt like we should talk about it a little bit. All right. Later, everybody. Good night. Thanks for coming by.